Hello friends, good morning. I hope all of you are good. So today I'm going to start my day with a beautiful news story. This story is about the two cities, and the name of the story is Tale of Two Cities. This is a novel, but I'm telling it in the form of a story, in the form of a video, so that it is easier for you to understand. This was written by Charles Dickens. It was written in the Victorian period, and the journey is from one place to another place, from London to Paris, and then from Paris to London back again. Now, London is in Britain, whereas Paris is in France. This was an historical novel and it was published in 1859. The story is about the French Revolution, how the poor people stood all by themselves against the rich people of the society. So the story starts in 1775. Jarvis Lorry worked in a bank, and the bank's name was the Tellson Bank. He was traveling from England to France. He was actually going to bring Dr. Alexander Manet. He was his good friend, but before he could go there, he first thought of meeting his daughter. His daughter's name was Lucy. Lucy did not know from years that her father was still alive. So Lucy is being informed by Jarvis that her father is alive and he has been closed in a prison for 18 years in France. He was closed down in Bastille. Bastille was a very big, huge building for the prisoners. It was almost like a cell or a jail. Jarvis gets an information that he is no more in the prison. He is no more in Bastille and he is with the Defarge family. Now Defarge is the family who was doctor's servant who used to take care. Now he is the one who took him out of the prison and kept him closed in his house. Jarvis, Laurie and Lucy both travel from England to France to take Dr. Alexander. Now, Dr. Alexander was with the Defarge family, and that family was selling liquor, wine, and many other sorts of drinks. Their shop was near the Antoine Lane. Now, Dr. After staying for 18 years in jail, he was tired of staying there and he became a little, kind of mad. He couldn't understand things clearly. He was not able to get things clear and he was almost not in his senses sometimes. Sometimes he doesn't know what he's doing. So he was almost going to go mad. Now in jail, doctor learned how to mend the shoes. Now we have the cobblers to mend the shoes. In similar way, he learned how to mend the shoes. When Laurie and Lucy both managed to go to doctor, the doctor fails to recognize Laurie as well as his daughter. This was really shocking and it surprised Lucy that he had forgotten her. Finally, somehow they made him understand and they took him back to England. Now the story takes an U-turn. After 5 years, Doctor has become a little better. This is the time, the year was 1780. Doctor was a bit better and he was able to understand all that he was listening, all that he was experiencing. Now there was a court, and in that court there was a case going on that Charles Darnay is an agent, because Charles Darnay was staying in England but whereas he was from France. Actually, the real agents were Bersat and Cly. But what happens is they put Charles into trouble and Charles gets stuck. He gets blamed that he is an agent. Now, this Charles Darnay looked as much as the lawyer looked. The lawyer's name was Sidney Carton. Sidney Carton was the lawyer and he was against Charles Darnay. They both looked alike. Not a single thing was there to make difference between them. Charles Darnay, actually, his family lived in France and they were filthy rich. They were very rich, and all the family members of Charles Darnay did not like the poor people. But this Charles Darnay was really good. He was very good at heart and he loved the poor as he loved the rich people too. Now, this is a story, but here's another story inside a story. Now, there's a new character here, that is Marcus Charles. He was Charles' uncle. Marquis was a very rich man and very proud. Once when he was going to his house, he just stamped over a farmer's child, and the farmer's name was Gaspard. The child who was dead was the child of a farmer. They were really very sad that the child was dead, but this Marquis, without an hesitation, he just throws off a coin, a silver and a gold coin to them. On the other side, Charles Darnay is in love with Lucy. He wants to marry her. At the same time, the one who looked just like Charles Darnay, that is Sidney, he loves this girl, Lucy. But Lucy loves Charles, whereas she doesn't like Sidney at all. Sidney was a very big drunkard. He used to go and drink in the wine shop. As Lucy and Charles were in love, they get married and they go for honeymoon. The doctor asks Charles, "Tell me something about your family." But Charles does not say anything. He tells, "I will tell you later." Finally, after the marriage, Charles says everything about his family. Actually, Charles is from Defarge's family, who were ruling Dr. Alexander, and Doctor, after hearing all these, he got mad again. As Doctor was going mad, he again started to mend shoes sitting on the road on the side. Laurie was very angry. He goes and he breaks off his sewing machine. He breaks off his machine that was there to mend the shoes. Now, in 1789, Defarge's family is attacking the Bastille. Bastille was the building where the prisoners were kept. As the Defarge's family was attacking Bastille, they go inside the cell where Dr. Alexander Manet was there. There they find that doctor is not there, but the letter is there. There is a letter, and as they read the letter, they come to know why doctor was in the jail. Now, doctor was in the jail in this Bastille building because he was very rich, and that jail was for the people who were very rich. All the rich people were put in there so that they could feel the pinch of how the poor feel. On the other side, in 1792, Laurie worked in the Telson Bank, as I have already told before. There comes a letter for Evermont. Now, you might be thinking, who is this Evermont? Evermont is the same person, Charles Darnay. His real name is Evermont. He has actually changed his name and he was staying in England, but his real name was Evermont. Now, he's scared. Charles comes to know and he's really scared. So he tells Laurie that you give me the letter, I'll give it to him because I know Evermont very well. Now as Charles opens the letter, he sees that the letter is from his servant, and the letter says that he is arrested for helping the rich people of the society. He is in the Bastille. He tells him this message. As the servant was really suffering, he calls Evermont for help. He calls Charles for help. And then Charles quickly goes away to France. Now Charles and Lucy had a little child too. They had a daughter and they called her Little Lucy. Now as Charles goes to France, he's caught up there. Why? Because after so many days he has come to France and he was vanished for so many years. Now Charles gets closed down in the jail and then Doctor and Lucy both come to rescue Charles. Somehow Doctor helps Charles to come out of the jail. But that same very evening he is put back again in jail. He was arrested once more that evening itself because Defarge got a letter and they got an excuse to put him into trouble. The letter was written by Doctor itself when he was in the bars for so many years. He had written that letter and that letter was a proof now to put Charles into trouble because Doctor was put in the bars just because of Marquis, who was Charles' uncle. Now this Marquis was a very wicked man. He was behind a farmer's daughter. He killed her, he raped her, and he killed the entire family. And when Doctor was against him, Doctor was put behind the bars. Now, in that family that Marquis killed, there was one little child who was left. Now, this little child is Madame Defarge, Defarge's wife. She wanted to take revenge. So, since Marquis was not there, he was no more, she wanted to take revenge from this Charles because he was from the same family. Now, this plan of Defarge's family was unexpected and no one knew it, but lawyer comes to know. Sydney comes to know as Sydney was a drunkard and this Defarge's family was selling the drinks. Since he was going there to drink, he heard and he gets the news and he takes it as a weapon. However, in the court, Madame Defarge's wish was granted and Charles was to be killed. Charles gets a punishment to be beheaded. Now, this Sydney, who was in love with Lucy, he loved her so much but he couldn't marry her. So he wanted to do something for Lucy. He makes Sydney makes Sydney makes Charles wear his clothes and he exchanges his clothes with Charles, and this is how both exchange their clothes. Sydney replaces himself to be killed and he lets go Charles. Charles is let free and they come back. Charles, Lucy and Doctor, all three come back to England. Sydney, while dying, he says a few words that are quoted. A better thing that I can do and a better rest I have ever known. So, dear friends, we see that he is having pure, true love, and this is how he sacrifices his life just for the love of his life. And so, dear friends, this story is really very, very confusing. You have to watch it once, twice, thrice, as many times as possible. The more you watch, the more you find something new in this. So, do like and subscribe. Don't forget to share it with your friends. And please listen to it more than 3 times.